Wow, I cannot lie. This is like my third time filming this episode. The first time I filmed it, my camera died. Second time I filmed it, I was editing it and I absolutely hated it. I keep bouncing back and forth. My timeline is all messed up. A few things that I do want to say before this episode. I just want to give a big thank you to everybody that's supporting, sharing, listening. I want to give a big thank you to people from coming from TikTok, especially because you guys don't know me and you're going out of your way to go ahead and listen to my podcast, which I really do appreciate. A couple of things also. A few people did DM me asking if I was going to have guests on eventually, and yes, that is the plan. I'll also have a Google Forums in the description down below where you can go and either leave me some questions or you can go ahead and share your story. And I'll leave those questions and stories anonymous if you want in the next episode. Hello, and welcome to episode 2 of Anxious But Thriving. In today's episode, we're going to get more into my story, my background. We'll get into how I was in middle school, some of the situations that I dealt with in high school, my most important relationship, where my anxiety started, the breakup, and that's where we'll end off today's episode. Next episode will be moving in with my parents, meeting my most recent ex, my miscarriage, and all of that. So let's get into it. A little background about me is that I was raised with 6 siblings. So I am the second oldest of 7, and there is my older sister Angie. We have me, my younger sister Imani. We have Carlos. We have Francisco. We have Kaden, and we have Micah. Editing, yes, here. I just want to add, I was raised by my mother and my stepfather, which my stepfather is amazing, amazing, amazing. I feel like I've never lacked a father figure because my mom picked such an amazing man. Angie and Carlos are my step siblings, but I've been raised with them my whole life. They're not my step siblings. They're quite literally just my brother and my sister. I just wanted to add that I feel like I needed a little bit more context. My biological dad, I didn't really know. He was kind of in and out of prison my whole entire life. He actually was released like the year I was going through panic attacks, which is so weird. I don't even think he told me at the time. I think I found out through somebody else. I also have siblings on my dad's side, but we could get more into that in the next episode. So, let's take it back all the way to middle school. In middle school, I was a very outgoing girly. I had a lot of friends. My mom wasn't strict on us. I was allowed to have sleepovers, and these sleepovers didn't consist of me and other girls. These consisted of me and like my closest guy friends who eventually became like family to me, and I still am friends with them. So that's just to say that my childhood was really, really good. I had a really good childhood. Just like anybody else in my age, we were playing outside. We were at the park. Only rule: come home before the sun goes down. In high school is when things got a little bit more serious for me, and very, very quickly. Let me see. Here in my city, we pretty much have to like apply to what high school we want to go to. I know in most cities they have like one high school where everybody in the city goes, but in mine, you have to kind of apply to what high school you want to go to, and there's different high schools for different things. There's an arts academy, there's a technical academy, and so on and so on. I wanted to get into the arts academy because I am a very artistic person. They also had choir and like all those things that I was interested in, so I definitely wanted to get into that school, but unfortunately I made it into the technical school. I went into that year adamant that I wasn't going to be there for long. So for like a couple of weeks, I actually wasn't trying to make any friends. I stood to myself, and little by little, the females in my class started including me into their group. So I ended up really, really enjoying it. I actually ended up wanting to stay. And we had a gym class with the senior, well, no, we had a gym class with the junior class, with a junior class. And as females do, the girls that I was friends with were scoping out, the guys. And there was one guy who caught their attention who had long curly hair. He was very attractive, and I am not the type of female that goes and looks for men or wants men's attention. Like, I'm more kept to myself unless somebody approaches me. So I wasn't like scoping out with them. I was kind of just there. Ironically, this person they were, watching was watching me. And I think he ended up reaching out to me on Facebook at the time, and we got to know each other a little bit, and things escalated. He became my boyfriend. This relationship was extremely toxic, extremely controlling. This relationship actually traumatized me. And it's so funny because I actually spoke to him about this a couple years ago, and he doesn't recall the relationship in the same way that I do. And what I mean by that is he doesn't recall it being as toxic as I do. But I think it's because I didn't have the same rules on him that he had on me. Like, I wasn't allowed to wear certain things. I wasn't allowed to be friends with certain people. I wasn't allowed to talk to certain people. I wasn't allowed to be around certain people. And if I did wear whatever he didn't want me to wear, if I was talking to somebody he didn't want me to talk to, I would get the silent treatment. It was very hot and cold. When we were good, it was great. And when we were bad, it was terrible. Um, I grew a very, very unhealthy attachment to him. And when I was looking back and directing this episode, I kind of realized that I was already dealing with anxiety in high school. I just didn't know how to recognize it at the time. And because we were so hot and cold on and off, I didn't know what I would be walking into when I would go to school the next day. So every morning I was sick to my stomach. When I would come home from school, if I had a bad day, I did not want to eat, I did not have an appetite, sick to my stomach. I was not sexually active in high school whatsoever, but because I was so sick, my mom had me take a pregnancy test, which I do understand now because those are like the signs. But that's just to say how unhealthy it was, how bad my mental state was. I lost a lot of weight, and I'll try to find a picture of like me getting into high school and then me during the relationship. This relationship lasted from my freshman year to my sophomore year. So we broke up maybe like the end of my sophomore year, the end of his senior year. And this was a really hard breakup for me. This relationship was bad, but the breakup was worse. I felt like somebody died. I felt like somebody passed away. Like, it was really bad. And I think after this breakup, I never allowed a man to have that much power over me, over my emotions, like, ever again. In the sense of being sad, like, anger and all the other stuff is a whole different story. But in the sense of being sad, being heartbroken, like, I just wasn't going to allow myself to feel that towards a man ever again. Because I was so wrapped up in this relationship, oh my god, because I was so wrapped up in this relationship my freshman and sophomore year, I actually ended up being so behind on the credits that I needed because I was either skipping class, or when I was in class, I wasn't really paying attention. I was maybe arguing with him through text message or playing around with my friends, just not focused on school, just focused on all the wrong things. So once junior year hit, I had to be transferred over to an alternative school so that they can make sure that I was able to graduate on time. I was really devastated, I'm not going to lie, because I had such a great feeling about going into junior year, being that I wasn't going to be tied down or locked into this toxic relationship. And, I had my friends there, and things just felt like it was going to be a new start for me. Unfortunately, they had me transferred over, and I actually made friends pretty quickly here in the new school. I might have even had friends already there that were transferred before I was transferred over. I actually think one of my best friends in the girl group actually ended up being transferred over, like maybe within like a couple of weeks of me being transferred over. So it was like not too much of a bad transition. I made friends very, very quickly in this school, and I actually had a really good group of friends who we would do random stuff, honestly. I'm thinking, like, damn, I was really young, just like, as soon as I got my license, just out of here, going to the beach in the summer, like, any chance that we get. We were really just out here for real. And I did stay single for a good chunk of time after my relationship in high school because, like I said, I was traumatized. And it actually took me a minute to realize that I was in a controlling relationship. In the alternative school, we did have like a seminar. And in this seminar, they were talking about relationships and toxic relationships and abusive relationships. And abuse doesn't mean physical, it doesn't always mean physical, it can mean mentally. And they were giving examples. And I was just like, wait, that's what that was? That's what that was? I was finally able to recognize that it wasn't a healthy relationship. That is not what relationships look like. The weirdest thing, like looking back, going backwards to high school, I remember being in this relationship and being like, what do you mean? Like, I can't wear that. My mom bought me that. Like, if my mom says I could wear it, my mom bought it for me. Like, who are you to tell me that I can or cannot wear something? Granted, like, my parents were also not like that. My stepfather does not dictate what my mom wears and who she's friends with. That's not normal. That's not normal. And if you're in that kind of situation, it's not normal. It's not. It's insecurity, and it's something that the other person needs to work on. It's not a you thing. It's a them thing. So I did stay single for a couple of years after that relationship, and I just enjoyed my life. Honestly, like I said, I wasn't looking for any male attention. I wasn't looking towards a relationship anytime soon. I just strictly wanted to graduate, and that's it. But the next year, so what was supposed to be my senior year, a new girl comes in and we become friends very quickly. She actually becomes one of my best friends. And a couple of months of us being friends, she introduces me to a guy, and I wasn't really too interested in getting to know him, but he was so adamant on getting to know me. He wanted to take me out. So I gave him a chance, and he ended up being my longest, most important relationship. And this is where it all pretty much begins. We started dating in 2014, and things are difficult the first year because we have a lot of outside opinions. And 2015 and 2016 were very off and on. We were in a very toxic relationship, and I don't think I want to get into all of that right now because I do think I want to have an episode strictly on toxic relationships. So we'll save that for that episode. But we were off and on. It was very toxic for those 2 years. 2017 rolls around, and we end up breaking up right before summer starts. And this year becomes, or not year, but these months in the summer become like one of the most important, like one of the, these months in the summer of 2017 become some of the most important months of my life. I gained a lot of self confidence. I learned a lot about self love, what I like, who I am. I prioritized taking myself out on dates. I worked my butt off. And not only that, but I had a very big group of solid friends who ironically were also going through breakups. So we were kind of each other's backbones, motivating each other to work, to just do better. We were very positive towards one another. And actually, I know some of I know some of you guys are listening, and I love you guys so much. Like, I literally will never stop loving you guys. I just appreciate them so much. Like, think about it back now. Like, thinking about it now makes me very happy that I had those months with these people. Because they made it so easy for me. I was planning to move out with my best friend. I was keeping it very hush hush. So only the people that were in my friend group knew. My parents didn't know. I don't even think I told my sister at the time. And me and my sister are like this. I don't think we were like this at the time, but now we are. I kept everything to myself. I was able to move out of my parents' house. I was the first one of my siblings to go, which I'm really proud of. That's just to say how much I was working on myself in 2017. But towards the end of the summer, he reaches back out to me and we get back in a relationship. And at this time, the relationship is pretty solid. Like, it's actually really good. Like I said, I had those months to really reflect on myself and enjoy my own company. So I went back into this relationship with the mentality. Oh my God, what is good? Am I slurring my words? I went back into this relationship with the mentality of like, I don't need him. He shouldn't need me. So I was totally okay with whatever the outcome was. I'm going to put all my eggs into this basket, and if it does not work out, cool. I know I'm gonna be good because I just had the best summer of my life. I just had the best couple of months of my life, and I know I can easily just get that back if this doesn't work. So that is why I think our relationship was so solid, because I just had like this new sense of confidence and, like, you know what, trust. I'm just gonna trust that this works out, and if it doesn't, I'll be fine. I know I'll be fine. But in 2019, there was a loss in his family, and this loss hit pretty hard. Don't even think about it right now. Me talking to myself because I was literally about to start crying. Don't, Okay. It was a loss in his family, and January 2020, like pretty much like right before COVID, was a month of just being surrounded by love, but also grief. And it was just like a lot. But I think I was trying so hard to be there for him and for everybody else that I wasn't regularly checking up on myself the way that I should, the way that I usually do. And I was kind of avoiding or ignoring or not even acknowledging some of the things that I needed to acknowledge. So I was keeping everything bottled up. By February 2020, I started getting sick in the morning again. The same that I was in high school, but I didn't know what it was. Like, I didn't know what it was in high school, and I wasn't going to know what it was now. Like, I didn't put two and two together. I was getting sick every single morning before going to work, and I couldn't really pinpoint what it was. Like, I'm thinking it's acid reflux. It's something that I ate, but like, how many times is this gonna happen? And like, every single morning is not normal. May 2020, I wake up one day in excruciating pain, and I assumed it was a hangover because I think I was drinking the night before. So I went through the process. And you know, when you usually, like, when you have a hangover, you feel okay, like, by the afternoon. Maybe by like 12 to like 3 is when you start feeling like a little bit like yourself again. That didn't happen for me. I don't think I slept that night. And I was just in so much pain. I was in a hot shower for hours. Just get out the shower because the hot water's gone. Lay down, light up, garden a little bit. Go back in the shower, just like trying to get us together. Just I'm in so much pain. And I think this happens for like a week until it's like, okay, finally, like, you got to go to the hospital. You got to figure it out. So I went to the emergency room, and there they did like a CT scan, I think. And then they did an ultrasound, and they found that I had cysts in my ovaries. I was rushed into surgery to work on my left ovary at this time. Woke up from the hospital. My mom picked me up from the hospital while my boyfriend at the time was cleaning our apartment, making sure everything was sanitized and clean so that I can come home. I came home and went to bed and woke up in a panic. Heart racing, just literally my chest, I just remember my chest being so tight, and it just felt like doom. It felt like doom. Like, I didn't know what the hell was going on, but something's going on, and like, I don't know, just woke up in a panic. Ended up having to get in a hot shower, and I wasn't able to sleep. And this went on for maybe like a week, where I would go to sleep or try to take a nap, wake up in a panic. I would calm myself back down, try to go to sleep, wake up in a panic. And it got to the point where I was just in a constant loop and I wasn't getting any sleep. So, right back to the emergency room. And this is where they told me that I'm dealing with anxiety, or like, yeah, and I'm having like I'm pretty much having panic attacks right now. And it's just like a back-to-back thing. At this point, I think they just give me like something in the IV, send me home. And I go home, try to get it together, can't. Still waking up in a panic, still having to take very, very hot showers. and went back in the emergency room. At this point, they had me stay in the hospital for like a week. And at this time, they were trying to figure out like what medications they can give me, what they can give me to help. And they ended up releasing me after a week and giving me Lexapro. What I didn't know was how long Lexapro takes to get used to and the side effects that you can end up dealing with. I took the Lexapro and ended up just being sick. I lost so much weight. Like the amount of weight that I lost, like I already had lost weight from the surgery. But then losing weight from taking medication. I couldn't get anything down. I was just nauseous all the time. And because I didn't like, because I was feeling so bad, it made me panic even more. And Lexapro isn't a like take it and you feel like you don't feel anxious. Like this is something that you have to get used to. This is like a prescription that you will be taking constantly. Um, I ended up back in the emergency room and they ended up prescribing me with Xanax at this time, like a very small dose of Xanax, but Xanax nonetheless. And not for nothing, I am a little frightened of Xanax because here in my city in 2016, I feel like honestly in most cities, I'm not gonna lie. If you're from another city, another state, let me know if this is true for you too. But in 2016, we had like a Xanny apocalypse. When I tell you the amount of people that are just popping it like candy, just fighting their sleep, looking kind of dumb, I'm not gonna lie. It scared me just like thinking like that is that's really what I'm about to have to be on. I didn't like this idea. Yes, the Xanax helped. It did. It did. I was able to sleep finally, but I decided I wanted to figure it out on my own. I decided I don't want to be medicated. I need to figure it out. So, one day being in my one of my hot showers, I had searched up on my phone like anxiety relief and I think yoga came up and like a specific video. Anxiety for yoga. I mean, yoga for anxiety. And I put this on. Mind you, the shower that was in this apartment was huge. Huge. So I had more than enough space. I did some yoga poses in the shower and I found out they really, really help. They help take the pressure off of my stomach, off of my chest. They help me get my mind off of it. So I got out the shower, got dressed, and I did yoga in the living room, my living room. And I would do yoga for hours, for hours. When I tell you, snatched. And mind you, I still, I decided to do this because I decided I didn't want to take medication. So I was still dealing with really, really bad panic attacks because I decided I didn't want to take the Xanax. Thank God that this was, summertime because I found out that the fresh air really helped. Being in the fresh air really, really helped me. And my boyfriend at the time decided to go buy a tent so that I was either able to sleep in the tent if I wanted to or just had somewhere safe to just go into at night or whenever I needed to do some yoga, get some fresh air, garden a little bit. And honestly, I love that tent. I love that tent. I don't even think he has it anymore, but I really, really love that tent. I think we slept in it for like 2 days. Honestly, yeah, like 2 days. And I really love that tent. Like that was like the sweetest thing like anybody could have thought of. Like yeah, the tent in the backyard was the icing on the cake. I ended up being able to really ground myself again. Honestly, I grounded myself. I want to say like by January, February, March, April, May, June. Yeah, so like maybe mid June, I was finally able to re-ground myself. I was finally getting out the house again. I was finally able to be around people again. And yeah, in November 2020, it comes back. And I'm in excruciating pain. I end up back in the emergency room and they did same thing, CT scan, ultrasound, and this time they worked on my right ovary. Needless to say, went home, knew I was going to have panic attacks, and that is exactly what happened. Granted, I did still have my little pills that I decided I didn't want to take anymore. So I would take them if I absolutely needed them. But again, I didn't want to. So yoga, yoga, yoga. I would wake up in a panic. And when I was in the shower in pain, I would be screaming, crying, singing, just anything to help me, humming, anything to just help me release anything. And because I was making so much noise, my boyfriend at the time would wake up in a panic. He would wake up hearing me scream and hearing me cry for him. And sometimes I wasn't even crying for him, or I wasn't even screaming. He just was so used to hearing it that he would wake up like, oh shit, like he'll definitely get more into it on his side, like how it made him feel. But I just remember him telling me about that, like, sometimes, like, even after you left, like, I would wake up and feel like I heard you screaming for me, which is so scary to think about, and I feel so bad. But yeah, so November 2020 it comes back, and I continue, go on with my yoga. I'm able to kind of reground myself by, like, actually never. I'm lying. I never regrounded myself, like, while still being in this relationship. January 2020 comes around, and we have a discussion about breaking up. I feel like my anxiety put a lot of strain on our relationship because, like I said, we were pretty solid, but I feel like that's so much to put on someone. And also, I was dealing with social anxiety, which is something I want to get into. I was dealing with social anxiety a little bit before my panic attacks. So just imagine just somebody who doesn't want to be around anybody, and then I get to a point where I can't really be around anybody, and I'm just like a burden. That's just how I felt at the time. So January 2021 comes around, we talk about breaking up, but we're like, okay, let's just work on it. No, February 2021 comes around and we break up a couple days before Valentine's Day, but we decide, we're still gonna spend Valentine's Day together. I wasn't being kicked out of our apartment. I had enough time to figure out what I needed to do. Obviously, I was still going through my panic attack, so it's not like, okay, you need to leave. So once we broke up, because I had worked so hard in 2017 to get out of my parents' house, the last thing I wanted to have to do was to get back in. But this was around COVID time. I wasn't working. I think I was on unemployment. And moving out on my own obviously wasn't an option because I was still dealing with panic attacks. I was barely functioning. My dad, like I said earlier in the episode, my dad was released the same time that I was going through panic attacks, and I was trying to build a relationship with him, which we'll get more into in the next episode. I was trying to build a relationship with him, and during this breakup, his girlfriend, wife now, his girlfriend reached out to me and asked if I would be open to moving in with them, because they had like a basement where I would have my own space, my own bathroom, my own entrance. And I took them up on that offer because I feel like it was the closest thing to living alone. And this is where the episode ends. Next episode, we'll talk about moving in with my dad, dealing with my anxiety while living with my dad, some of the situations that I went through with my dad and my anxiety, good and bad, why I had to move out, moving in with my mom, which is not really much. Moving with my mom is moving with my mom. Like, I love living with my parents. I love my parents, so it's no tea there. But once I live with my mom is kind of where I met my most recent ex-boyfriend, who I ended up getting pregnant by and having a miscarriage with. But we'll get into that next episode. I really appreciate you guys for listening. Like I said, I'm also on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Like, if you don't want to sit here and put the YouTube app up or watch a video, you can just have it on your AirPods and give it a listen. But I really do appreciate you guys for listening. And yeah, if this touched anybody or you relate in any way, leave a comment. Like, I really want to know. DM me. You don't even have to leave a comment. You could just DM me, keep it private. Ooh, Google Forums. Don't forget, we got the Google Forums down there, girly pop. But yeah, I'm really excited for next episode. I'm really surprised it didn't get emotional. I think it's because I had to film this episode so many times that it was just like, I kind of want to get it over with. And honestly, I'm really proud of how this one went. I can't lie. So yes, we'll see you guys in the next episode. And do I have anything else I want to add? No. Have a great Tuesday or whenever you're watching this. And yeah, bye.